I'm feeling good. I think last weekend was a good kind of warm-up race for me. That was a long break. I think it was 4 months or something like that. So yeah, it was good to get out there and race last weekend, kind of get a feel for things again. And I'm excited for tomorrow. We got a good stacked class. Everybody's kind of back racing. So yeah, should be good. It's always pretty fun here. Good flowy trails. Looks a little rockier here than over in Panaca, but I'm excited for it.
The temperatures were incredibly high last weekend. It was a long race. Are you feeling recovered coming into tomorrow?
Yeah, I pretty much didn't do anything this week. I think after a race like that, the best thing you can do is just eat and sleep all week, basically. So yeah, that was mostly what I did all week. A little bit of riding, just, kind of make sure I feel good on the bike. But yeah, it was a good race last weekend, and just made sure not to go too hard and destroy myself in that heat, because it was pretty crazy out there. So well, for tomorrow, I would definitely soften things up a little bit compared to some of the other Hare and Hounds. You kind of go ride around a little bit and just get a feel for the area, but I softened things up a little bit from just last weekend at the Hare Scramble, since we were at Glen Helen. But generally, it's like you want to feel comfortable in the rocks. I prefer to kind of just manhandle the rocks a little bit and be safer in the high-speed stuff. It is personal preference, but for me, I generally run a stiffer setup and will just soften up a little bit if the area seems rocky. So
I don't know. I think I forgot what racing was like with that 3-month break. Did a lot of training. Excited to get back into the racing. This is a new place for me, so excited to see what it has to offer. I've been kind of similar areas for the Silver State truck race. I know it can be dusty, but it sounds like it can also be tight and rocky. And just from what I've seen today off of just getting some time on the bike, it's going to be probably more on the loose side and rocky, but excited for tomorrow. Right now is being consistent. That's one thing that I've always tried to do through my whole career, is the consistent person, between each race is very hard to do. And that's always been my goal, is to be as consistent as possible, because consistency wins the race sometimes. And obviously there's races where you're always going for the top step. Everybody's putting in, as much effort as they possibly can get into the next races, and it depends on, how much of a beatdown they've had. Right now I'm in the freshest state I possibly can be. So, going into tomorrow, we obviously are going for a win, but being smart and figuring out the course and not pushing over my abilities is the thing that I've had to learn with the off-road side of things, and especially being a race that we don't know what we're coming into. It's about being smart and kind of letting the race come to you.
Yeah, that was my first race back. My summer has not been very good. I suffered a couple concussions in May. The last one that I got was at the last Hare Scrambles before summer break. And it's really kind of scrambled my brain a little bit. I wasn't able to ride for a couple months. I've just been kind of barely getting back to where I feel decent enough to ride. So yeah, honestly, last weekend at Glen Helen, I felt like I just trail rode at 75% for 2.5 hours. It wasn't much of a performance, but yeah, I don't really have, like the answers for it. So I'm just trying to do my best. We have two rounds left of this series. And so, my goal is to go out there and do my best. Like, I'm not expecting anything great, but I'm going to give it my all. Like I said, I don't know if I have any advantages at this moment. I'm really kind of just hanging on, trying to finish, honestly. I used to have good advantages in the rocks and stuff and the tight stuff. I would usually shine at this race. It could happen, like I have days where I feel really good. So, hopefully tomorrow's one of those days, but we'll see.
Feeling pretty good now. Not quite, like I say, 100%. I still kind of feel my lower back injury, but overall it shouldn't be a big factor of holding me back on performing tomorrow. Overall during the summertime, and I think I was down for a month and a half or 2 months, and then I started riding and started training again and working with Jarrett, and we've been doing pretty good work, and I felt like I've been getting stronger and stronger every time doing my motos and stuff. I feel after this race, during the race, I'm going to check out how I feel and then play from there, and afterwards, and then see what type of damage control I can do. But then the next round, I for sure want to get back on top.
Yeah, just trying to stay on top of hydration. I think it's like really important. So yeah, you know, it's important that you feel good out there. So making sure the camelback's topped up and you're actually drinking from it, and obviously through the pits, you know, grab a drink and something to eat even. So I got to go home, so it was good. I didn't really change too much. I did ride a lot more, and I did do a bit more off the bike training than I was doing. So I do feel really good right now, and yeah, I give it 100% every time I get on the bike. So yeah, I'd like to try and keep the wins going. So, but I'm sure these boys are going to try and put a stop to that. So just got to stay on it, and yeah, just like I said, just give it my all, and whatever happens, happens.
I don't know, Sam's been having a killer year, so pretty far back. Honestly, just more or less focusing each race, just try to improve overall best I can, have good clean rounds, and not really look at the points that much, just because it is a pretty hefty gap. Trying to be on the podium more and more each season, so feel like I've been managing that pretty well, and yeah.
And if you could tell somebody who's never raced a national hare and hound before one piece of advice, what would it be?
Stay focused. There's a lot out there that could definitely bite you, so just yeah, watch out for rocks.
I would say that from my experience in the past, it's pretty rocky. You've got a lot of sand washes, kind of like some faster like 2-track roads, and last time I raced here it was kind of more high speeds. I remember it being, but it's been a while. One thing that I've made a difference on is I actually finally put a stabilizer on my bike. I haven't been running one for a while, but at the last Utah, well, not the last one, but at Cherry Creek, I noticed it getting a little bit sketchy. We're definitely going a lot faster this year. Kind of softened my suspension a little bit, like Zane was saying, and that's about the only changes I've made.
I actually got to race here in Caliente in like, I think June. I don't know when it was, but it was a local race. It was pretty fun. It was just like a 13-mile little loop that we got to do, and then we went and did another one of those in Pioche, and just been riding a lot, and got to go riding on my birthday with my brother and my mom, and just kind of trying to put as much time on the bike as possible. I'm trying to win, but that's just, I mean, everybody's trying to win, right? So, I mean, being consistent is really important, but I definitely want to go out and win for the last two.
I think Rachel pretty well has the championship wrapped up. She's been really fast this season, and I haven't had the greatest of finishes, so I'm not necessarily looking to close any gap. I just want to put forth some good finishes and close the season out strong. Stay hydrated and be on top of your nutrition, get some good sleep. I think that's really important. My brain doesn't necessarily operate too well without sleep, so I try to really stay on top of that. But other than that, just hydration, nutrition, and keeping yourself in a good present state.
Jump right out of the gate. Preston had me a little bit there for probably 150, 200 yards on the start, and then I was able to make a pass on him on the first kind of bend. Gives you an advantage, especially with how dusty it was today. So I was able to see in that first section of just puddle water, crossings and stuff was pretty gnarly. I got pretty soaking wet there.
The start was pretty gnarly. There's big rocks. You had to know your line. It was tight, so you knew it was going to be close, and then it ended with a bunch of water crossings.
Kind of got caught with my pants down on the start. Still somehow managed to get to fourth by the end of the bomb. Got past Dalt pretty quick.
I think I was around 5th place. Then I moved to 4th. It's very nice to ride the desert. I really love it. It's a little bit different because there is a lot of dust.
I followed that deer. I noticed it earlier in the canyon. The thing kept running down the canyon. I would imagine it was pretty hard for it to run out. And I was like, this thing better get out of the way, because normally when you're chasing them, it's for fun.
Yeah.
But I was like, this thing better get out of the way, because I don't want to hit it, you know. And it was probably a pretty epic shot coming out of the mountains with a deer running in front of me. So that was pretty cool. Definitely a once-in-a-lifetime thing right there to happen in the middle of a race, leading it. So that was pretty wild, but definitely a cool experience.
Technical in the trees. The sand wash just had a bunch of rocks, so you have to be careful. Like, weaving in and out, you can just give it all throttle, and you would have clipped something big out there.
Took quite a while to get by Preston, but I kind of got Preston and Austin at the same time because I think Austin went the wrong way down the road. Preston made the same mistake, but looped back quicker, and you really couldn't override this place too much. Kind of just, ride around at 85%. I like this place a lot more than Panaca. I mean, it's still dusty and silty, but I had a lot more sections to make passes, a lot more technical stuff, bigger variety, so I thought it was a super fun race. That loop 2 was kind of endless. That was pretty long.
The river crossings were cool, just wide open, just lifting the front wheel, hoping nothing was going to catch, or your feet weren't going to get ripped off, but it was sweet. I would catch the lead pack. I would catch them, and then I would start getting tightened up, getting the dust, and try and make a move through, or try pushing through the dust. But then I would get tight, and my back would get a little stiff on me, and I start making mistakes. Still can't else, but I still got some speed. Just need to get a better start. The dust was pretty nasty.
On loop 2, I was feeling that I was going slow, but I was catching guys, so I was thinking, okay, if I do my rhythm, I can do better. But then I was going a little bit too fast, and I was struggling. I went into the overshoot corner, splash, and then I back it up. And last loop was rocky, and I tried to push, not crazy push, but from 6th to 3rd, I get it.
Loop 3 was a lot of fun. Good flowy, good mix of fast and the technical. So yeah, I enjoyed it, man.
We had a really good first loop. Me and Sam were going back and forth.
The first and second loop I had a blast, even though I couldn't even see the ground half the loop. I think I was 30th or something to the end of the bomb, and then picking guys off the whole race. And then slowly but surely, I knew I was catching up. Once I caught up to Sam and DJ, I knew I was top 3 at least.
Just stay consistent, don't mess up. I just keep telling myself, don't mess up. Honestly, that's the biggest thing for me. I can get a little carried away, so I've had a pretty rough season getting carried away, and then it bites me. So I'm just trying to stay consistent today, and it worked out well.
I like the feature to like going through some water, but that second loop, because we doubled over ourselves, it was like they were pretty deep, and once my boots got soaking wet, then I was like, yeah, these water crossings aren't very cool anymore. No, I got soggy boots for the next 80 miles.
You never know how deep it is, so that's like kind of sketchy because you don't know if you're going to soak your air filter. But this section of water today, I really enjoyed. It was just kind of like all the trees kind of jumpily, and it was pretty fun in there.
It's scary, but the water crossings, it felt so good to come through and get splashed. Came around one of them with the silk corner, and then there's like a water rut, and I hit it way deeper than I thought and just got soaked. And I was like, oh, felt kind of good. So it was super cool.
Bent my sprocket, so the chain just kept sliding off. I was stuck out there for way too long. I don't know how long I was, way too long, just like 10 minutes. Bended in with a rock, bit of bush mechanics, just tried make up as much time as I possibly could, and then had a crash on the second loop, pushing too hard, and then yeah, rode her into the finish. So it's not the best race, but I guess it happens.
Loop 3 was definitely not my forte. It was super slow, like first gear rocky shale. Probably the hardest fought race for the result, I should say. That was probably like one of the worst starts I've had, and yet the best finish. So I'm happy, but that was a lot of work.
Yeah, just dropping right in here on the last section was pretty technical. There was definitely some stuff the third loop that would sneak up on you, and all of a sudden you're like, oh boy, we're into some techie stuff. Just kind of had some mental mistakes, couple crashes, kind of just catapulted on itself. I kept making mistakes, and eventually, came around and started riding better, but it was later, and kind of first it already checked out. So, oh well, my mistake, and we'll live and learn.
I was at the top of the ridge, and I thought we still had to cross the road and go over. And then I came down, and I was looking over, and I was like, oh, that's the campsite. No way. So I saw it was the end, and just kind of pushed down it. I like downhill mountain bikes or just mountain biking in general. So downhill is something I enjoy. So I'm able to cruise through that stuff pretty easy and just made it to the finish, which was awesome. Awesome feeling.
Rachel was out front, and me and Ty were battling back and forth between second and third.
I feel like that's like the most fun I've had at Hare and Hound like this year. It was just like everything was flowing today. It was just so much fun. I was like, it just felt easy, and I was just ripping. It was rocky. The first loop, I have this thing where I really like to crash like 10 times in the first mile. And so I don't know how to fix that, but I need to because it's really kind of screwing me. Those sand washes were fun. I was having a lot of fun out there. They got pretty deep. I didn't think that they were that deep, and then I hit one and my feet came off, like coming back into the pits, and I was like, oh,
It was my kind of tactic to use as little of energy as possible through there to save it for the end. So that's kind of where I was at, was just reserving energy, and because I knew it was going to be a pretty grueling race. So I watched the girls pick up their bikes multiple times. I think I pick up her bike probably 5 times. So yeah, I just tried to reserve as much energy as possible so as they're to fight to the end.
And so I come in the first loop pretty far back, like kind of caught up to Brittany, and then we kind of played cat and mouse for a while. I feel like I'd kind of make the pass and make another mistake and eat crap, or be all flustered on the side of the trail, and she'd go by me again.
I was having so much fun. I had like a pretty big gap. It was almost like 10 minutes before second place came through. But my chain broke, the master link came apart, so luckily Joe Watson came out and rescued me. So I was able to finish, but it's kind of disappointing. I was having so much fun. I have one applesauce in my bag for emergencies. And I was out there, hadn't even got rescued yet. I was out of water. My mouth was so dry, so I ate my applesauce. And then I regretted it like 10 minutes later because I was thirsty again and had no food, no snacks. So if I get stranded in the desert and I'm out there for a while, I probably won't make it. So I don't even know. I've already ate all my food. I'm done.